We have no witnesses. No convincing forensics. I take this to the grand jury. I have more holes than the Internal Revenue Code. She sleep with anybody?
River?
Yeah. She grapple with any of the crew. Might be in their quarters.
No.
Maybe she does and you don't know about. So many others you can identify with. If you don't like DeRay, find someone else. You said it yourself, there's important work to be done. So you're gonna let DeRay stop you from doing it? We have to delay the deal.
What?
Yeah, my ears outside tell me the police have been tipped. I don't know how. Maybe CCPD hacked into the cameras. For lunch, madams, we have a burrito with lightest medium sour cream.
Thank you very much.
A capicola sandwich. Drugs are everywhere in the music industry. All the cool cats I knew were on something. Only thing worse than being uncool was being untalented. I actually want to start teaching a little bit, which is really surprising to me. You know, both my daughters are actors now. They're studying and they're working, you know, out here. They're in, you know, early 20s and late 20s, actually, mid 20s, I don't know. But talking to them about acting and trying to help them with their work has really made me feel, it's brought up actually to me how little we actually get to really focus on the craft nowadays, you know?
How do you become the first Black lead on one of the most powerful legal dramas in television history and then get cut from the show? That is exactly what happened to Richard Brooks in 1993. Stay with us, because before this video ends, you're going to find out exactly what NBC was really doing when they wrote him out. And a private plan that was never supposed to be revealed. On December 9th, 1962, a boy was born in Cleveland, Ohio, who would one day force America to reimagine what Black excellence looks like on primetime television. From an early age, Brooks was drawn to performance. He trained at the Interlochen Academy of Arts in Michigan, and once he had outgrown what Michigan could offer, he made a decision that unsettled everyone around him. He moved to New York City. He enrolled at the Circle in the Square Professional Theater School. The instructors there did not coddle students. They dismantled them and rebuilt them from the ground up. It was inside those walls that Brooks discovered what he was truly capable of. Then came the audition that would open every door. While still grinding through New York training, Brooks was cast in the Eugene O'Neill Theater Conference production of a brand new play by a playwright named August Wilson. The play was Fences. Brooks played Corey, the son, the original Corey.
I was the original Corey.
Wow.
With that and working with August Wilson. I did a few plays. When I did his last play, the last play that he was actually there in rehearsal.
His performance was so precise, so undeniably powerful, that what happened next felt almost inevitable. But it nearly didn't happen at all, because the move to Los Angeles could have destroyed him. But steady work arrived. Hill Street Blues.
I have some bones.
Honey, we're still using it to make the soup.
Thought you were giving bones away. You're supposed to be giving bones away.
But we're still using it for the soup.
I see your bones! Now come here!
Followed by Badge of the Assassin in 1985.
Looks like it, but...
Then Resting Place in 1986. He then transitioned into feature films, including Teen Wolf, 1985.
Now what you want to see Mr. Flowers for?
The Hidden, 1987, Off Limits and Shakedown, 1988.
The guy used a 38, man. 38 couldn't kill a cockroach. That's why I use a 9mm. Use somebody with a 9, he don't get up.
And Shocker, 1989.
Looks like you've been up all night screwing, boy.
Oh, man, I just ain't been able to sleep, that's all.
You get more in the toilet. See, don't lie to your man right now.
He was building something, quietly, methodically. Then, in 1989, he played O.D. in the award-winning war film 84 CMO Pick, directed by Patrick Sheen Duncan.
Better melt down your radio, too.
In 1990, a new legal drama on NBC needed someone to anchor their assistant district attorney role. He became Paul Robinette, and in doing so, became Law & Order's first African-American lead character.
Cross charges. And the gag order will work both ways.
The first to hold that ADA title on a show that was about to become a cultural institution. For 3 seasons, he brought intelligence, controlled fury, and genuine moral complexity to a character that millions of Americans welcomed into their living rooms every week. Dick Wolf wasn't playing it safe. Handheld cameras.
It was amazing. I mean, when I first saw the script, I knew it was a great story, and Dick Wolf, at the time, our dramas were kind of out of fashion when we started in the early 90s, and The Untouchables had just come, and so there was this whole thrust of the government and the good guys, per se, being the underdogs.
Stories ripped from actual headlines while the ink was still wet.
The writing was incredible. Every concept, from the handheld shooting or to, half law, half order. And originally, it was so flexible that we could have even split it up into half-hour shows.
Then everything shattered. Season 3 wrapped. Brooks and co-star Dan Florek got written out. No goodbye episode. No on-screen explanation. No warning. Just erased. The official story? NBC executives demanded female regulars on the all-male cast. But here's the truth most people never learn. This wasn't about making the show better. This was network interference at its coldest and most calculated. Most actors would have crumbled, vanished into bitterness. Richard Brooks did the exact opposite. When Law & Order brought Paul Robinette back years later, the character had completely transformed. Prosecutor to defense attorney.
I love this new format. It's amazing that, that Dick Wolf and the team have been able to acclimate themselves to that form, of the long story form, and just like a season of dealing with one crime. I mean, it's so detailed, it's so character driven. I just love it.
Each appearance reminded audiences of precisely what they'd lost. During 2013, PBS cast Brooks as Frederick Douglass in The Abolitionist. The role transformed him.
I had no idea at the time before I started working on how powerful Frederick Douglass was. I mean, now he's my biggest hero. We know him as an icon, but no one really knows how he really came up from slavery, the fights that he had to maintain his manhood.
Before accepting, he knew Douglass as an icon. But once he dove into research, once he absorbed Douglass's own writings and speeches, Brooks discovered something profound. Frederick Douglass taught himself to read while enslaved, physically fought and defeated his overseer, a man whose business was breaking enslaved people's spirits. Brooks humanized Douglass by letting his authentic voice emerge through the words he actually wrote and spoke.
My father was a white man. It was whispered that my master was my father, but of this, I know nothing.
And in 2017, he stepped back into the role one final time for the Chicago Justice episode Uncertainty Principle.
Would the cops use a heat sensor at a church? No. But Muslims have no rights. It should all be thrown out, including the arrest.
But while America was fixated on Law & Order, Brooks was building something most people didn't realize. In 2002, Joss Whedon's space western Firefly desperately needed someone for their series finale, one episode, Objects in Space. Brooks took the role of Jubal Early, a bounty hunter who wasn't just dangerous, he was existential.
That's some nonsensical crap. Ain't nobody can do that. You somewhere on this boat, somewhere with a con playing games.
That episode became legendary in science fiction circles. See, here's what separates Brooks from the actors who flame out after one big role. He's a student, always has been.
This has been one of the things I think since I started as a kid. I was really attracted to the art of acting and the craft.
And his approach was never about becoming famous or getting rich. It was always about one thing, truth.
It's just been one of the things that I've tried to develop over the years. I think it's one of the qualities of being real.
Acting truthfully in imaginary circumstances. That's the standard he set. The classic actors who made impossible work look effortless. The ones who could dance, shift between comedy and tragedy, do whatever the scene demanded without breaking. That's the level he demanded from himself. July 2nd, 2013, BET premiered Being Mary Jane with Gabrielle Union leading the charge. Brooks played Patrick Patterson, Mary Jane's older brother.
I rang the doorbell. You couldn't hear it with your head between his legs.
The show didn't just succeed, it became a cultural event, trending on Twitter every episode. And Brooks brought something to Patrick that audiences were starving to see.
Just trying to become the man that I always wanted to be. The character's really investing in himself, and I think it's a storyline that a lot of men I think can identify with, because a lot of us are trying to rebuild ourselves, definitely, even with recessions and things like that. I mean, he had big plans, used to be on top.
Patrick wasn't sanitized. He had a brutal drug history. He struggled daily, failed repeatedly, but the show did something revolutionary. It gave him what too many stories refuse to give black men, the chance to fail and try again.
I think it's great to see us, that we can get a second chance, or a third chance, or a fourth chance until we make it, that you just have to try to succeed.
Why does that matter so much? Because after recessions, after devastating setbacks, after addiction and terrible mistakes, people need to see that redemption isn't just a fantasy. It's real. It's possible. It's worth fighting for with everything you have. Brooks didn't just act the role, he understood its weight.
It's kind of incredible what BET's doing. I mean, as far as on the quality level and just raising the bar with all their programming right now. And it's a very relatable story. I think it's kind of unlike pretty much anything else I've seen on television.
Gabrielle Union carried that show with devastating grace and power, but Brooks matched her scene for scene. He brought depth that turned Patrick from a character into a living, breathing human being audiences genuinely rooted for, and he kept going.
Fluffing her up because I just love working with her so much. I mean, she's just so fun and so real, and such a trooper, because she's truly carrying us and working really hard and just doing amazing work.
The Flash as Warden Gregory Wolfe in season 4.
First week in Iron Heights is often the hardest, Mr. Allen. You've already seen what happens when a few inmates try to revolt. Acclimating to your new life will take time. Always does.
Bosch as Dwight Wise in seasons 5 and 6.
Man has a son. He gets a picture of who that child might grow up to be.
You do your best.
All you can do is walk alongside and pray. How are your boys?
They're good.
Keep them close.
The Rich and the Ruthless on UMC as Augustus Behringer from 2017 to 2021.
And you'll be directing more, too. If actors cough up blood, faint, or die during the scene, keep rolling. Tell folks to improvise. And don't ask for a raise.
Abbott Elementary as Gerald from 2022 to 2024.
Capital sandwich.
My favorite.
And nacho chips, because they my chips.
Currently, Brooks is still operating at the highest level. Recurring role as LAFD Chief Simpson on 911.
I want you to go back to that set and help Gerard become a more likable version of himself.
With all due respect, I'm a fire captain, not a miracle worker.
Then if you want to stay in this firehouse, you better start praying.
Eddie Nicholas on Hulu's Reasonable Doubt.
First of all, I've been clean for about 5 years now. And secondly, I play bass guitar, so I'll be more Ron Carter than Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
But there's something else. Something bigger is brewing beneath the surface. He founded his own production company, Flat Top Entertainment, LLC. Then, at the dawn of the millennium, he dropped his first solo R&B album, Smooth Love, on Flat Top Records. A legitimate R&B album from a man with a voice that channels Barry White's soul-deep power.
Can't get enough of your love, babe.
This isn't a side hustle. This is a complete artistic pursuit running parallel to one of the most successful television careers.
Yeah, I'm working on a new album, so and also I'm actually working on a live show that I want to put together. I'm thinking about doing something down at maybe 54 Below and stuff like that, put together a nice kind of scaled back R&B, soul, little Barry White.
In modern history. But wait, there's more. He's producing projects with his daughters, who are both working actors in their early and mid-20s. And here's where it gets even deeper. Brooks wants to teach. He's talked about creating an acting laboratory where artists can fall in love with craft again, where they can work at a level modern television rarely demands anymore.
I actually want to start teaching a little bit, which is really, really surprising to me. Both my daughters are actors now. They're studying and they're working, out here. They're in, early 20s and late 20s, actually, mid 20s, I don't know. But talking to them about acting and trying to help them with their work has really made me feel, it's brought up actually to me how little we actually get to really focus on the craft nowadays,
3 hours to shoot a scene, quick blocking, minimal rehearsal, next setup. But Brooks came from the theater, real theater, Eugene O'Neill, August Wilson.
But that's what that Eugene O'Neill theater that you were telling me about, with August Wilson with the fences?
Yeah.
That's what that was. That's what they do up there. That was one of my first early experiences, coming out of acting school,
March 2011, he played Harmon Wilkes in Radio Golf at Geva Theater Center in Rochester, New York. Wilson's final play, Wilson told him something that still echoes. He'd written that specific role for Brooks, heard his voice while creating the character. They were preparing for a full run, 2 years of repertory before Broadway, and then August Wilson died.
Yeah, the music of it.
Right,
melody,
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I really like to hear, and I can hear it. And then sometimes I get upset because I'm realizing when I hear other actors do the lines, I'm like, didn't you hear that? I mean, you know what I mean? Of course, you could say it like that, but did you hear the thought? That you hold the thought all the way through the line,
That loss hit Brooks harder than most people know, but it crystallized something essential. Why the craft matters. Why does the work have to be excellent? Why actors need training that goes beyond hitting marks and saying lines. They need to inhabit characters with depth, humanity, and soul.
All right, that has to do with the new tax laws.
Now, what does that mean?
It means that's why people hire people like me to stay on top of all the changes.
Tyler Perry cast him in The Haves and the Have-Nots. 4 decades proving talent, preparation, and professionalism create longevity in an industry that devours people without mercy. So where is Richard Brooks now in 2026? What's he building at this stage of his career? He's engaged to Amy DuBois Barnett, literary editor, media executive. Social media posts from late 2024 show them celebrating milestones together. She calls him my love, my fiancé, my partner in all things. He found love later in life after his first marriage to Raphael Camille Desir ended in divorce. From that marriage, he has 2 daughters, Raquel and Roxanne Brooks, now building their own acting careers with their father's guidance, still running Flat Top Entertainment LLC, still creating music that moves souls, still directing films that matter, still acting at the highest level on shows millions watch religiously. He hasn't retired, hasn't faded, hasn't become a nostalgic relic of 1990s television.
Acting has changed, over the years, I think, with reality TV and TikTok and, everything, all these, I think this kind of stuff, it's more, we have a better sense, the audience has a better sense of actors, you know what I mean?
Richard Brooks' estimated net worth in 2026? Between $1 and $2 million. No scandals, financial disasters, bankruptcy, or desperate comeback. Just consistent employment doing what he loves at a level most actors never achieve. A craftsman in an industry, forgetting what craft means. That's the untold story of Richard Brooks. Not what could have been, what is, what continues, what refuses to stop, because legends don't retire.